I'm Whitney.
I'm Danielle. We are occupational therapy assisting students.
And you may be wondering what occupational therapy is. Occupational therapy is a type of therapy that helps individuals with physical, cognitive, developmental, or emotional deficits be able to learn or relearn functional skills that are needed for everyday life activities. And the wonderful thing about occupational therapy is it is a holistic type of therapy, meaning that therapists, they look at the whole individual. They're not just looking at the diagnosis. So for example, today we're going to be talking about cerebral palsy. So if an OT practitioner had a patient with cerebral palsy, they're not just going to want to know all about cerebral palsy. They're going to want to know the individual's needs, wants, for example, how they brush their teeth, how they brush their hair, how they prep meals. They're more interested in the activities that they're going to be doing every day and getting them to a functional level where they can complete those as independently as possible.
And a little bit about cerebral palsy, CP. Out of all of the motor disabilities that are diagnosed, it is the most common, and it is diagnosed from childhood. Some of the symptoms, now the symptoms are going to vary in levels of severity from person to person, but the symptoms include muscle tone difficulties or deficits.
Yeah.
So they may have like muscles that are too stiff, muscles that are too relaxed. They may have difficulty with their motor skills, their fine motor skills. They also may have difficulties with walking, anything related to the muscles really, and muscle strength.
They can experience tremors,
Yes.
some vision impairments, and sometimes they can walk on their tiptoes, and they usually walk with wide steps.
Thank you. And our assistive device that would assist someone with CP, we're going to be talking about the Ultimate Switch. The Ultimate Switch is a high-tech assistive device. It ranges from about $80 to $200, so we do not have one today. We do have a couple of pictures. This is the device here, and it'll attach to a wheelchair, to a table, a stationary chair. Would you like to say something else about that?
And what this device does is it allows the patient to be able to utilize appliances that they may not be able to use due to muscle weakness or deficits in fine motor skills. So with this, what it does is the Ultimate Switch plugs into an appliance module, and what this does is for example, I'm going to use a TV for it as an example. So if someone with CPs want to watch TV and they have the remote, well, their fine motor skills won't allow them to push the on and off button to this TV. So this Ultimate Switch, all they have to do is just tap the lever on this Ultimate Switch, and it's going to turn off or turn on whatever device they're wanting to use. And the really good thing about this, like she said, it can attach anywhere. It can attach to the top of the wheelchair. It can attach to the bottom of the wheelchair so they can tap it with their feet. It can also be put like where their elbow or hand can reach it to as well.
This part does bend, so it can be, adjusted any way. The neck of it here, it's just called a gooseneck model, and it can be, adjusted so it's at a position that's comfortable for them. And also, the great thing about this is it only takes 10 grams of pressure to be able to activate. So that's about, for example, that's about the weight of 10 paper clips. So they just have to lightly be able to tap it, just a little bit tap of the head, tap of the elbow. But it doesn't take those fine motor skills like that we talked about. So, for example, they may not be able to flip a switch, but they would be able to just barely move their head, tap the Ultimate Switch, it'll turn on the lamp.
And you can imagine, like if you had muscle weakness or your muscles were rigid or not rigid, if you only had to apply 10 grams of pressure to something, that would make a world of difference, like in just everyday life activities. In this device, like I use the example of TV, but it can also be used for computers, lamps,
Smartphones.
yeah, electric wheelchairs. Like it's a really good device for these patients.
Almost anything electronic.
And I think that concludes our video.
Thank
Thank you.